Hi friends, it's Kelly and welcome back to Mama Needs a Goal. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I know you're looking at this video thinking, what in the world is she up to today? Well, I want to make a sign to go over my fireplace. I currently have a picture there. I have two pictures actually that I keep above the fireplace. I switch them out for the seasons. I love these pictures. It's one of my favorite artists, but I wanted a more farmhouse feel for this Christmas. So since I got my new Cricut for my birthday back in October, I thought I'm going to attempt to make a sign to go over the fireplace. Now, I've never done this before. I have no idea how this is going to turn out. So this video could be a tutorial on how to make your own sign, or it could be a tutorial on what not to do when making your own sign. But anyway, I had this piece of wood lying around, so I didn't purchase it. I've had it for quite a while. So I thought, what do I got to lose? It's just laying out there in the garage. So I'm going to use this, and this is actually the perfect size that I want for the picture because I want it to be pretty tall. It is a 4 foot high and 2 feet wide, I believe. And I'm going to go ahead and use the stain that I have currently on hand. This is what I use to stain the shelf that we put in our living room, and also the shelves that I put in my powder room. It is a Rust-Oleum brand, Varathane Premium Wood Stain, and the finish is called Carrington. So I thought I'm just going to go ahead and use what I have on hand. So there's, what I'm going to do actually is stain this, and this probably will be a couple day process because I'm going to have to leave time for this to dry. So I'm going to do is stain this, and then I'm going to paint it with some, I think it's called sheep is the color, but it's like an off-white chalk paint, just a light coat because I want a little bit of the stain on the wood to show through. And then I'm going to sand down the sides and just rough it up a little bit. And then I'm going to use my Cricut to cut out the sign that the saying and all that I want to put on the front. It's basically the sign that you see everywhere, Christmas tree farm with, you know, pine, whatever saying it is. So I'm going to attempt to make that. Now this piece of wood, there's two sides. The one back side, or actually it might be the front side, is nice and smooth and there's not a lot of knots. And then this side has some knots in there and that big split. Actually, if the sign was going this way, it almost would have that shiplap feel and it would be perfect. But unfortunately, I want the sign to go this way. And I thought, you know what, I've got nothing to lose. I'm going to do both sides. I'm hoping this is the side that will work for me. I like that split in there, but I'm not quite sure how it'll work. But I have nothing to lose, so I'm going to stain both sides of it. So I'm going to stain the front, let it dry, then I'll flip over and stain the back, which is why this is going to take a couple of days. So I'm going to get started. First what I did was I took a large trash bag and I cut down both sides, laid it out across my countertop so I don't get anything on my counter. Now I'm just going to lay this down. I'm not sure. I'm going to bring the camera in a little bit closer for you when I'm about to stain. And get the dust off of it because I did have this out in the garage. Got most of it off. Okay, I am using a cheap, inexpensive little foam brush. Just got it from, I think I got it from Michael's or Walmart. I think it was a pack of them. So, and then I'm going to throw some stain on there, and then I'm going to take my paper towels and wipe it off. And it's that simple. Let's see, I can't. Oh, of course I had to start where you can't see. Let's see. And this is pretty raw, so I'm not quite sure how fast this is going to soak in, but like I said, it's not a big deal because I am going to go over it with paint. And it is very dark, as you can see. Well, let's see how that looks. Yeah. Oh yeah, that is very dark. Much darker than I thought, but that's okay because I'm going to have paint on it. Alright, well let me go ahead and get this big piece stained. Okay, my friends, I thought I would stop right here and just kind of give you an update on what's happening. This sponge is literally falling apart, I think because the wood is so rough. So I thought, you know what, let me just take a paper towel, dip it in, smear it on. That's working for the most part, but I have some areas where it's not filling in. And I'm thinking, you know, that's really not that important because, again, I'm covering it with paint. So it doesn't have to be perfect. I want it to have that rustic farmhouse feel. So I have some areas that are darker and lighter. And then I just thought to myself, oh my goodness, we just had Motivation Monday, and it was decluttering our kitchen towels and cloths. And I had some old cloths that I had decluttered, and I saved them for my rag pile for, you know, cleaning outside and things like that. So I'm wondering what it's going to be like if I take one of my old towels and rub it. Now I do want to be careful because I don't want to get a splinter. It's not too rough, but I can feel in certain areas. But I thought, why not try it? Let's see what happens, and we'll go from there. Now typically you would wear gloves when you're staining. I have used the last of my rubber gloves. I didn't realize it, so it's going to get on my hands, and that's fine. So I'm going to dip my rag in there. I'm just going to rub that in like that. And that actually is not too bad. And you can see where it goes in a little darker there. I'm just going to play around with it, rub it back and forth, and see what happens, and I'll show you what the outcome will be. Alright, my friends, on to plan what? A. We've got plan A, plan B, plan C. Now we're going to plan D. It's not that it's not working, I'm hoping you can see, but when I put it on, this wood is just soaking it up so fast. So now I'm going to try using a paintbrush. Sorry, I'm a little out of breath. I was running up and down the steps. This, I think, might work. Yeah, I think this is going to work much better. And then what I'll probably do is rub it with the cloth afterwards. There's a lot of grooves in there. This wood, I did not sand it down. It is not smooth, which is probably why this is all happening. But I am okay with it because I want it to have that rustic feel. When I done the shelves, we had sanded those shelves down. They were very smooth. I did not have this issue. I used the sponge and it went on like butter. This is rough. I didn't sand it down. So, but that's okay. Like I said, I'm okay with that because I want it to have this, and then there's going to be a coat of paint over top. So this is not like a finished project this way. So I'm okay with that. However, if this is something that you want to have a nice, even, smooth finish, you are going to want to sand it down really well. I'm hoping you can see this. I'm really actually liking the way it's looking. So I'm going to go ahead, and you can hear Miss Opie barking. She probably needs to go out to the bathroom. So I'm going to let her out and then finish this up. Alright, my friends, I wanted to hop on one more time. I was doing the sides of these with the paintbrush, and it just was not working as well as I had hoped. So I thought, let me switch to the sponge again, and oh my goodness, huge for the sides. I don't know if you can see, it just goes down so quickly. So the paintbrush for the board, flat front of the board, and then for the sides, you definitely want to use the sponge. It just goes so much faster and gets in there really good. The brush was just taking forever on the sides. And now, I mean, I finished this side up in half the time of the other side, and the bottom included. So I just painted it on and then rubbed it off with the cloth that I decluttered. Okay, my friends, the sun is now moved around back and shining in the kitchen, so I'm hoping that I have a good shot here. So I think what I'm going to do is just go ahead and pour some of this on here. And I just have myself a paintbrush, and I am just going to go ahead and paint right on top of this. Like, oops, I need to be careful. I'm in the kitchen and I'm making a mess. Like I said, I have never ever made something like this before, so this is new to me. So you're coming along with me, and you will see my errors if I make any. You'll know what to do and what not to do. And I think early on you saw the different techniques or different items that I used to stain this wood, and how some worked and some did not, because this wood is just some plywood. It's not finished. I really like how, I don't know if you can see that, it's coming through. It's not all the way. Oh, I'm really liking that. I'll move around here. This does seem to use a lot of paint, though, I gotta be honest with you. Okay, continue this painting. So like I said, I had this split here in the wood, and I really liked it. It's really like the back side, and I just thought it gave it character, and I really like the way it looks. As you can see, there's some wood stain showing through. But I'm hoping that you can get a good enough view of it to see that long crack that goes down the piece of wood. I just thought it added character to it. So this is what it looks like. And then hopefully the next step will be doing a little bit of light sanding, just kind of around the edges here, just, you know, to smooth it out a little bit and show a little bit of the wood grain through it with the stain, and then we'll get to stenciling it. Hey my friends, so it is now another day, and my sign that I'm making, the stain and the paint is completely dry now, so now I'm moving on to creating the stencil. I found an SVG that was online. It was a Farm Fresh Christmas sign. I really loved it. I am making it much larger, so I went ahead and I've been working in Cricut, making the sign larger. Now, one of the things I wanted to mention is, and I may have mentioned this earlier, I'm not sure, that because my sign is much larger, and I wasn't sure how this was going to work because this is my first time, I was concerned about wasting a lot of my vinyl, because those rolls of vinyl run about $13. And I read online that you can use contact paper, shelf paper. And I went to the dollar store and I picked up 4 rolls of just regular shelf contact paper. I just picked the one with the less design in it because I thought it would be a little bit easier to do. and I rolled it out onto my long cutting board, and I went ahead and printed the first part of the sign, because I did have to break it down, ungroup it and break it down in different sections because the sign is so large. And I went ahead and I printed them out. So here is the first, oh, can't get it. So here's the first one that I cut out. And this is my stencil. I'm not sure if you can see it. It says Farm Fresh, and then it has the trees in there. So I'll put this on the board and stencil it on, and then I have the next section that says Christmas trees. And then I just finished printing out the last bottom part of it, and I'm going to go ahead and weed out the letters. So I have my stencil, and then I'm going to go ahead and get it on the board. Excuse me, get it on the board and get the stenciling. So stick around, let's get started. So I'm going to go ahead, and this is called weeding, where you just pull out the letters, and then this becomes a stencil. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Alright, my friends, I now have my template laid out where I want it on the board. Alright, my friends, I went ahead and got my transfer tape, and now I'm just cutting it to the size of my stencil. Okay. And as I mentioned in the past, I did make a little mark here and here, because once I lay this down, it's going to shift. I want to be able to remember where the top of it is. So I'm going to go ahead and peel this back. I'm actually going to turn this sideways like this. I'm going to peel this back. That one there like that. There we go. Okay. And then I'm slowly going to grab underneath of this, pull it back, and then just press this down. And then I'll go ahead in and get the bubbles and all out after I get this. To go ahead and rub this, especially those little small pieces. I'm going to make sure they're down, so when I stencil, doesn't look like a big blob. Alright. Okay. This is not sticking overly well to the wood, which I was thinking that I might have that, so I'm just gently pulling it back using my little tool here, smoothing it out. I'm thinking maybe I probably shouldn't have rubbed it as hard, because it seems to be sticking to the transfer paper too well. Alright, well, let's go ahead and get this off, and then we'll move on to smoothing it out and getting this thing stenciled. It's coming off little by little. So far, so good. I crick it out of the way. We are almost at the end. Alright, my friends, so I am going to get started. I have some acrylic paints that actually belong to my son, that I got down the basement from his little art studio that he has down there. I originally was going to do chalk paint, but I would have to buy quite a few different chalk paint colors. I think it would look better with chalk paint, to be honest with you, but I want to get this sign done, and I don't want to invest that much money into it. And I think once I get it painted, I might just go ahead and take a little bit of sandpaper and sand over it and just kind of knock the gloss down a little bit. Like I said, this is just an all-purpose acrylic craft paint. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to do the word Farm Fresh in black, then I'm going to do the trees in green, and I'm going to attempt 3 different greens and see if I can get a little bit of dimension in there. I'm not quite sure how this is all going to work out, but let's give it a whirl. The worst can happen is it doesn't turn out and I repaint it and start over. So I'm going to throw some black paint on my palette here, and I have this stipple brush that I've had for years, so I think I'm going to go ahead and use the stipple brush, and I am just going to dab it. I'm not going to smear it in because it'll go underneath of my stencil. So this is what I'm doing, and I don't care if I get it fully covered or not. Alright, I am just about done the word Farm Fresh, 2 words I should say. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and rinse out my brush and my palette here and get ready to do the Christmas trees. Okay friends, here I'm trying to do this without creating a shadow. I am using 3 different acrylic paints. I have Lily Pad, Lime Velvet, Citron, and Leaf Green. So I'm going to start off with the lightest color. Let me see if I can show the bottoms. I'm going to see the colors. I'm going to start off with the lightest color and then go darker. So I'm going to go ahead, put this in on my palette. And like I said, this is a pretty big stencil here with the trees. So I'm going to go in with this brush, and I am just going to, again, the stippling with this. I'm using this brush just because the trees are larger, and I feel like I can get coverage a little bit better. And then the last tree, there's 3 of them here. And just remember, be careful you don't go off the edge if you do end up doing this or any other sign. And one thing remember too is, though I used a Cricut for this sign, you do not have to have a Cricut to do something like this. You can easily find this clip art or SVGs, and what you can do is print it off on your printer, and you can get tracing paper, that black carbon paper, and put underneath and trace the outline of it, and then just go ahead and paint in there. Okay, my friends, I just mixed up a little black with a little bit of black and some what's it called? I can't even read it. Wine. I'm going to just dab a little bit down here on the tree for the tree trunk. Just going to be very careful not to get it on the tree. Okay, my friends, my stencils are all on, and now I'm getting ready to paint the Christmas tree stencil, and I'm going to do that in red. And I did not have the red that I wanted, so this is the color I'm using. What I did was I combined these 2 here to create the color that I wanted. So now I'm going to get started and get this stencil going. Again, I'm going to try to keep it down as much as possible. Okay, well, let's get it started. Still a little bit brighter than what I wanted. May come back in with, I don't know. Looks a lot brighter on here than it does on my palette. This is a lot brighter than what I really want it to be. It's darker on my palette for some reason. So I think when I finish this, I might just go ahead and stipple a little bit of black on top, just to add a little dimension maybe. We'll see. Gotta be careful around those edges. I don't want to go off and get paint everywhere. Christmas done. Okay, now I'm going to do the word trees. Got that cut pretty close to the top, so I need to be really careful. So now I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to add a little bit of, I got nothing to lose, friends. I'm going to add just kind of around the edge a little bit. So I'll throw it in there. It's hard to see the stencil, so I am just, honestly, just kind of hoping I'm getting it in there. If you stand on an angle a little bit, you can kind of see it, the stencil a little bit in the edge. Alright, my friends, that is where I am at. I am considering on maybe doing a stenciling a tree here and here, or maybe just like a little line just to fill in that space, because I feel like, because normally this would have been one word, but I wanted to make it larger for this sign. So yeah, I think, oops, I got some I think I'm going to do something like right here. I'm not quite sure yet, but I will show you when I'm done. But I think what I'll do is take off the top stencil and let's see what that looks like, because I am very anxious. Obviously this is all still wet. I'm going to come back again with some more red and go over top of that. But let's turn the camera up to the top and let's see what it looks like. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Alright, my friends, I'm seriously nervous. I do want to try to save the trees in case I decide to do one down there. Oh my goodness, I'm nervous. This was a lot of work, and if it didn't work out, here we go. Here we go. It's looking good, looking good. And as you can see, it did bleed a little bit. I'll do a close-up, but that's okay because I wanted this to have a rustic feel. But if you want a nice crisp edge, you definitely want to stipple the background color on the stencil first and then paint on top, because that will help with bleeding. Oh, I'm really liking the way the trees are turning out. Oh my goodness, friends, this is really, oh my goodness. You know what I'm gonna do? I think I'm gonna cut this part out and then take that off second. And that way, I think that will make it a lot easier. There we go. There we go. Oh my goodness, friends, I am just over the moon right now, because I honestly, like I said, I was doing some research on it and some things people said to do, but there were some things I didn't want to do. Oh my goodness, look. Oh, look at that. Let me get my weeding tool. Let's get that A out. There we go. You got that R. Oh, friends, I really like it. It did bleed around the edge, and I'm okay with that because it gives it that look I was looking for. I really like it. Oh my goodness. I am just over the moon happy right now. Cut off some of this, the edges of this, because like I said, I'd like to think, I'm not sure yet. I'm going to lay it down and see how big it is. I might try to reuse it down there. Alright, let's see. Oh my goodness, this is crazy. This is crazy. Oh, friends, I'm really excited so far. So far, it's working. Oh my goodness, this is making me very happy. I just hope I can salvage this. Oh, friends, look at that. Oh, of course I've got the sun coming in on an angle. Let me put this stencil down and get you a good shot. All right, my friends, I got pulled the camera out. Can you see that? Let me see if I can give you a close-up. You see that? All right, I am going to let the rest of this dry. And then I'm going to go back and add a little bit more red here because I think I was a little heavy-handed with the black. And then let the rest of this dry, peel it back, and then I will show you the final result when it's done. All right, my friends, so now the sign is completed. It says Farm Fresh. We have the 3 trees. Then it says Christmas trees and pine spruce fir, complimentary cider, hot cocoa, cut and carry. What I did was, let me get in close so you can see. I added a little bit of black on the red to tone it down some, and then I went back in and added a little bit more red on top. And I really like the way it turned out because I have some black and red plaid ribbon that I'm going to be using in my decor. So this works out great and it matches perfectly. And as you can see here, it did bleed through a little bit, and I discussed that earlier. If you didn't want it to bleed through, you just paint it with the base coat, and then it bleeds the base coat, and then you can top it off. And then I just did a little bit of different color greens, and then I went back, I don't think I showed you all, I added a little bit of white on here, just to give it a little bit of a snow effect. Now let me back up. I hope you can see that. I am really, really pleased with the way it turned out. As you all know, we were starting this, I was going in with it blind because I had never done this before, but I'm really pleased with the way it turned out. So my next video, I will take this sign and put it on my mantle and decorate my mantle. So until then, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to hit, you can hear Miss Opie. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and that little bell. And don't forget that notification will let you know every time I have a new video coming out. So thanks, friends, and I'll see you next time.